Hi, this is Shanna with Florabella Collection. Today I'll be demonstrating the Florabella Texture Applicator action for Photoshop CS2 and above. There's also a version for Photoshop Elements, so go ahead and check out that video tutorial if that's the software that you're using. So let's get started. We are going to click on the Florabella Texture Applicator and the play arrow. And this action will guide you through application, removing texture and retaining tone, and adding adjustment layers. So first thing it says is that we will choose the texture from our files, and it's prompting us to resize the texture to fit over the image. Okay, so let's click continue. And then it'll take you to your files. My file happens to be in this folder. Let's see, how about we choose brownstone. Okay, go ahead. It places the texture onto your image, and there's little handles around that you can use to stretch it out over the image. Now, it doesn't matter. You can stretch it any which way. If you don't like so much of a vignette, you can stretch it out on all sides to get rid of the vignette. But in this case, we're going to make it match perfectly. You can click the arrow up here or the Enter button on your keyboard. Now it says to click stop and change the blending mode and opacity if desired. If not, if you like it the way it looks here, it's at overlay at 45%, you can just click continue. But for this purpose, I'm going to choose stop just so I can demonstrate. So that's overlay. There are several blending modes that are popular to work with actions, and usually people use overlay or soft light, sometimes linear or vivid light, screen if they really want to lighten it up, give it a more hazy look, multiply darkens. You'd have to reduce the opacity of that. But I like overlay, and in this case, I'm going to bring it up to about 60%. Now, it's really difficult on a video tutorial to see the actual texture, but it is here. But you can see that this particular texture adds a nice, warm, golden tone to the image, which I like. At this point, you can also choose to desaturate your texture. Say you like the texture, but you don't want to add any additional tone from the texture to your image. So you come up here to Image, Adjustments, and you can choose Desaturate to desaturate it altogether. Or you can click Hue Saturation and desaturate just as much as you'd like to, all the way, or just bring back a little bit of tone. It's completely up to you. But in this case, I like the tone of the texture. Okay, so let's go back up here and click the play arrow again. Now it says to click stop and use a soft black brush to remove textures from areas, and then press the play. So let's press stop, and we're going to use a black brush. So black is here in the foreground, and it is. Choose your brush. You can go up here to your brushes palette and make sure that you have, a soft airbrushy type brush, one that looks kind of fuzzy on the outside. And I'm going to choose this one. I use my hardness at 0. Okay, you can adjust the size here if you wish, or when you get down here, you can use your right or left bracket key to enlarge or decrease the size of your brush. But I'm going to make mine larger here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush over I'm at 100% opacity here because I don't want any texture on her skin. I'm going to brush it over her skin areas. Now you can see that it's erasing not only the texture but the tone from her skin, and now it kind of looks funny because here we have this golden background and her skin looks real cool and ashy here, and we don't like that, but this action will take care of that later. So I'm going to brush it 100% on her skin. Then I'm going to come up because I want a gradual transition. I don't want it to be like texture and then no texture here. It doesn't look natural. I'm going to go up to about 30% and just brush around the area. Now, if you'd like to see where exactly you're brushing, if it's not obvious enough, you can click the right above your Enter key. There's a backslash, and you can click that on your keyboard, and the red area will show you where you've erased the texture, where you've painted on your texture layer mask over here. You can kind of see over here, but this shows you on your actual image. So I'm at 30% still. I can just brush around, brush a little bit on her dress, maybe if I want, just so the transition is gradual from 100% no texture to texture. I'm going to click the backslash again to get rid of that. And now I'm going to come up here and press play again. Okay, it's going to bring back the tone. There it is. And this just says that I can adjust all of these layers to customize. Okay, so let's look. Here, I'm going to click Alt on my keyboard and click the little eyeball next to background so I can only show that. Okay, that's before. And then I'm going to click it again while holding down Alt to show afterwards. And I really like that. If I feel that the tone on her skin is too much, that her skin's a little too golden, I can always just reduce the retained tone layer because that's just on her skin. That's nothing. And that's up to about where it was. I'm going to bring that down a little bit because I think it's a little too warm on her skin. I'm going to bring it down to about 53. You can also choose to lighten, darken, warm up, cool down, desaturate. If you desaturate, you just bring the opacity up and it kind of desaturates a little bit. It gives it a more washed out, vintagey feel. But I like it colorful in this case. You can add contrast. And there's also a sweet sunshine tone here that you can add to your image that's built into this action. And then there's also a saturate layer, which will add color back to your image. Now, it doesn't really affect the skin tones too much, so it just kind of gives the rest a little color pop. Okay, but I like it. Doesn't really need it in this case. So once again, I'm going to show you the before and the after. And Florabella actions and textures can be found at florabellacollection.com. Thanks.